I won't lie about it, but I felt stuck with a narcissist at 40. And if you also feel stuck with a narcissist, I want you to know you are not alone. Yes, you watching me, you are not alone. And it is not a sign of weakness. It is not something to be shamed about. It shows you are human, and it shows you need help. And why did I feel stuck? That is the crux of discussion in this video. And how did I break free? And so the first reason that I felt stuck was because of the kids. I had 5 in total with the narcissist, and I was like, where was I gonna go with all these kids? And so I found it overwhelming, particularly because of the kids and particularly because of the narrative around church settings where you're told separation or divorce isn't good for the kids, that children from broken homes don't turn out well. And so basically I started uh, managing my life with a narcissist just because of all the things I had heard about children from broken homes not doing well. But I didn't know that I was actually doing these kids a disservice by staying in the narcissistic marriage, because the things they saw eventually affected their psyche. And some of them started saying, if marriage is like this, then they don't want to venture into it. And so that is the first reason that I felt stuck with a narcissist. The second reason that I felt stuck with a narcissist is because of financial investments. We had done projects together, and I had pumped in financially into some of those projects, and I felt leaving was gonna make me lose all my financial investments. And so that also made me feel stuck. And basically, when I look back, sometimes I regret those financial investments, sometimes I don't, but it was part of the reason why I felt stuck, because I felt like, am I going to walk away from all these financial investments? The third thing that made me feel stuck to the narcissist was that I had poured my heart and soul into the union. I was the type of woman who was loyal, loving, and I had put my everything into the union. And so I felt that everything that I had invested into the union was going to go to waste if I left. And so that is another reason why I felt stuck at 40. And then the house, we had built a house as a couple, and I had invested financially there. In fact, because of the house, I had said, yes, this is a house that I'll be in, and I won't have to spend money on rent again. But leaving the narcissist meant I was going to leave that house that we had built, that I had contributed to go and rent a house outside, which means I was now going to start spending on rent again after I had put my mind at rest that I had built a house. And so that also made me feel stuck, because I was like, will all this financial investment on the house also just go like that? But eventually I have come to see it as an investment for my kids, and so I have moved past that. Now, another reason why I was stuck was that no one could understand what I was facing. We are in Africa where narcissistic abuse information is just catching on, and there was nobody I was going to explain to that I was facing narcissistic abuse that was going to understand. Even family was not going to understand readily like that. It took them a while for them to even see the shenanigans of the narcissist that had been complaining about, because most of them couldn't see it because he had used some niceness to cover up that he's always nice to your family, he will always be nice to my family. And so they didn't see it, but it took a while for them to also see it. And so part of that held me stuck, because I was like, who will understand if I begin to explain what I am actually facing? And then I felt I'd wasted the best years of my life in an illusion. I was like, oh my goodness, and all my years have gone and wasted in this illusion that I call a marriage. And so I felt like I had wasted the best years of my life, and it held me stuck. Also, I was like, what will people say? What will people say? You know, when you are in a church setting and you talk about going separate or divorcing, there's a way that they look at you as a woman. There's a way that they look at you because they feel you are doing what God hates. Nobody wants to listen to what you have endured. All they are saying is God hates divorce, God hates this, God hates that. Nobody wants to look at what exactly you are facing and God's demeanor towards what you are facing. And so I was like, what will people say? How will people look at me that I've always been shown myself as a loyal woman, as a respectable woman? Will I not lose all those things? But eventually I had to put that aside because my health mattered to me more than what people will say. My happiness mattered to me more than the opinions of other people, and I moved past it. Another thing that kept me stuck with the narcissist was being a single mother. I knew it wasn't a bed of roses because I had read the experiences of some other single mothers, sick children, going wayward, so many things. And I was like, can I cope with being a single mother? That also held me stuck for a bit, but over time I was able to overcome it, and I began to see God as my husband. I began to see God as a father of my children, and that over time I am not single as I think I will be. God is with me, and so knowing that God is there enabled me to make that bold step. Yet another thing that kept me bound to the narcissist, because I've told you severally on this channel that I left 3 times before I was finally able to leave for good, was a trauma bond. And so the trauma bond is like a chemical addiction to the narcissist. Is somebody who is hurting you, but you still feel stuck to him. You still feel addicted to him because of the highs and lows of the relationship, because he love bombs you, he makes you feel on top of the world, and then he pulls the rug from your feet and then comes back to love bomb you again. And so you are used to the chemical, it's a chemical addiction basically. And so I had to tell myself the truth, and also to pray to God to break the trauma bond, to break any soul tie between me and the narcissist, because I was no longer finding it funny. And so I had to pray some deep and honest prayers to God to help me to break free. And so basically I had to come to a point of radical honesty with myself to be able to finally break free. Because when I came to that point where I was radically honest, I could no longer allow manipulations. I could no longer allow the shenanigans of the narcissist. And that was how I was finally able to break free. And the morning I was gonna go, we all woke up, and there was, as usual, some bit of challenge, some bit of argument, some bit of ill treatment. And I was like, I have had it up to here. Yes, my toddler had gone to school. I only had 2 kids or so in the house, and he had also left. And I packed my bag, a few clothes, my laptop, my phone, and I left. And I never looked back. I have never been to that area since then. And so that is how I finally broke free. I was able to come to some sort of radical honesty with myself, tell myself the truth, because all the while I had been trying to evade the truth. But when I came to that point of radical honesty, I could no longer look back. And that was how I was finally able to break free and move on with the promises of God, even though my bank account was empty. But I tell you, over the 3 years that I've been gone, God has been faithful, and I couldn't wish life to be any better than it currently is. Of course, there are challenges here and there, but I tell you, over time, that God has been faithful. And if you are also with a narcissist right now and you feel stuck at 40, I want you to know that you are not alone. And just as I have broken free, you can also break free. Just go with God in prayers and be radically honest with yourself. I tell you, you can do it. Thank you for watching this video. If you are not yet subscribed to this channel, go ahead and hit the subscribe button, and also like this video so that other survivors can find it, and also share this video with as many people as you can. And if you found it helpful, share your story in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in my next.